My name is Martin Belton, I'm from Extols. I'm here with an old friend, Chris Horseman. Chris has been in the video games industry for a long time, but he's here today talking about compliance and what works in compliance industry. Tell us a bit more about your presentation today, Chris.
Okay, I'm using a case study that we've generated with Nationwide Building Society. We trained 17,000 of their people last October, and we got a very large amount of feedback, so 7,000 users gave us feedback. We create compliance training that is relevant to the job of the individual and the individual's needs. So for example, if you have previously carried out training on setting up your display screen equipment and you're really familiar with it, you do it all the time, then when we take you through the training, we'll ask you first of all if you know anything about it. If you do, we'll ask you increasingly more complex questions, and if you genuinely know all there is to know about it, you won't take the e-learning. I think that compliance e-learning could reasonably be called the curse of the e-learning industry, because there's been so much that features a next button and very little else, so that people are looking through page after page after page of material. They get very bored, and then they have to do exactly the same thing again next year. We've had examples of where people have done compliance e-learning, and for example, in a police station, the person on night shift has gone through everybody's e-learning, and because the answers to the test are always the same, they just put in the answers and nobody has to bother with it. I know an instance where my daughter was in a children's hospital for a while where the nurses were getting the kids to do the e-learning and they were paying them a quid to do it. So it's really been a curse, and it's not necessary. First of all, if it's health and safety training, it's really necessary to you, and it's probably necessary to the people you work with. So it should be relevant, it should be practical, it should be very immediate. We try and give a very pacey delivery. We use accelerated learning techniques, and we make sure that the learning tailors itself to your actual requirements. So do you lift people, things, etc.? So do you or do you not need manual handling? Do you use a mobile device at work? Do you need DSC training relating to mobile devices? And what do you already know? So if you know everything about setting up your display screen equipment, we'll ask you some questions, determine you know it, you won't have to do that section. So for refresher training, we can really speed up the process, and through accelerated learning techniques, by which I mean, instead of explaining to somebody how to set up their workstation, how about giving them a workstation and say, experiment with this and tell us when you think it's set up well. And then we give them feedback. So if they do a good job, we say, well done, but we still talk it through because this is a formative questioning. And if they don't get it right, we give them feedback, and it's much quicker than explaining every element to them.
So I say, could give us some idea of the sort of time we can save on the compliance training? Have you got some examples of that?
Yeah, well, with Nationwide, against a previous e-learning regime, they saved 420 days in the first year, man-days in the first year that they implemented it across 17,000 people. It was about 3,400 hours, I think that works out to. But against training in classroom, the saving is absolutely enormous, particularly if people are having to travel to do the learning. So it can be massive. But I think the key thing is helping to create a safety culture or a compliance culture. If people see the whole process as boring and really deadly, then it's very difficult for them to commit. If they see the process as interesting and, if you like, respecting them, their needs and their existing knowledge, then it's much easier to get people to participate in a compliance culture.
Chris Horseman, thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.